Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here in Columbia and joined today by Teagan Brown in Myrtle Beach and Caroline Soro in Greenville. Good evening, everyone, and some big news on South Carolina football. They're due to start spring practice tomorrow, but they're going to be they're going to be without one of their top offensive linemen. They were really counting on him for some big things this season. Josiah Thompson, Shane Beamer told us today that Josiah is going to have surgery because he has a lower body injury. He's going to be out for the spring, and this potentially could put him out for the entire season. And this is really it's a double up of bad news for the offensive lineman because Jacarius Peak, transfer from North Carolina State, he suffered a lower body injury playing in a team-sponsored 3-on-3 basketball tournament. He definitely is out for the season. So an offensive line that struggled in 2025, they've missed two key tackles. And here's Shane Beamer talking about Josiah Thompson's injury that's leading to surgery.
I always want what's best for each young man in our program, and Josiah is an awesome young man. His mom and dad are special people, and this will be the best thing for them to allow him to play football at South Carolina in 2027 and beyond 2027 as a hopefully professional football player too. This is the best thing for him to be able to just continue to be at his best.
Now, you may recall Josiah, he had decided to go into the transfer portal, changed his mind, and Shane said that they knew last year that he had this injury that would require surgery, and it had, it wasn't a decision on him jumping out of the portal and deciding to remain at South Carolina. But Teagan, just some troubling news for a team that has had its share of offensive line troubles over the past few years.
At a point where you're trying to kind of have a little bit of hope for the upcoming season and say this is a clean slate and we're starting over, this has to happen, which is just truly unfortunate for them. Hopefully, during the offseason and during the recruiting period, Beamer did what needed to be done maybe to get some guys in here that can fill those spots, fix the issues that we haven't even seen yet but we're sure exist now because of this. But yeah, definitely sad to see, Caroline.
Yeah, definitely. And this is a whole other topic, right? But if you think about not just Josiah, but if you think about the Jacarius Peak injury, that happened in a non-mandatory team basketball scrimmage, and I know that he's not out for the season. Beamer said that he should be ready to go in September, the last we heard. But that said, he's also going to miss a lot of the spring, so that's another highly touted offensive lineman that is not going to be participating with the guys in the spring and getting some of those reps that really matter before summer workouts start rolling around. So it really just is unfortunate for the Gamecocks because, like you mentioned, Rick, the offensive line was something that was an issue from game to game every single week last season. So you kind of felt like maybe as a Gamecocks fan, you were over the hump a little bit, got a couple guys that fans were excited about who were coming in. And then with this injury, that just kind of gets ripped out from underneath you. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And as far as who's going to end up stepping up, I know there's a couple freshmen in that room. But yeah, Rick, just really unfortunate, honestly, is the only thing you can say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline, for pointing out that Jacarius Peak right now is not out for the season. He'll probably miss the first two games. But, yeah, getting this news about Josiah Thompson and him potentially being out, just really some, desperate times for the Gamecock fans hearing this news today, and they're going, what next? Wow. And Caroline, you got some Clemson football stuff to talk about.
Yes, we do. We got a lot of football going on this fine early part of the week. defensive coordinator over at Clemson, Tom Allen, talked to the media late on Monday evening, talking a little bit about the transfer portal and a lot of bit about the whole Luke Farrelly situation. Those of you who remember and were tracking it along with us, that was part of the whole Ole Miss tampering situation where he's, the linebacker from Cal, he's the reigning ACC Rookie of the Year, committed to Clemson. He was already on campus. Then Ole Miss kind of swooped in, kind of took him right before the window closed. And then Clemson didn't really have a lot of time to go back in and, try to address that linebacker position. But defensive coordinator Tom Allen did say that he is excited about where this linebacker group is at right now. He talked a lot about, what that looks like in the transfer portal, trying to fill a hole. He said it's crazy and the fast and furious when you're trying to kind of make connections with those guys, of course, and then you kind of have a last minute situation happen like that right when the window closes. So it was really interesting just to listen to him talk about navigating all of that, and to also listen to him talk about the situation with Farrelly specifically and how Clemson has tried to address that so far this spring.
I will say this, I just, probably the challenging part of the whole situation was you targeted to go after one, and then because of the timing of everything, it allowed you not to be able to do that because it closed so quickly after that. So, but at the same time, we have I'm excited, and I feel way better after 4 days, just because I feel like there's a bunch of hungry guys in there that have something to prove and have to take a next big step, and we need them to do that. And so to me, that's a challenge to them, and so that's the opportunity that they've been presented with. And so obviously Sammy's a special player, but we got to have several other guys that can step up. And so I see us being a deep group of guys with a lot more guys ready to play than we had a year ago.
Well, the good thing to take out of that is, as a Clemson fan, is that if you were concerned about the hole that maybe Luke Farrelly was going to be leaving behind when he did end up leaving Clemson to go to Ole Miss so late in the game, it seems like Coach Allen is really excited about what the Tigers have so far in that room right now. He gave a lot of praise to veteran linebacker Sammy Brown when he was talking during that press conference, and he actually admitted, he said he was concerned about the depth piece of things when the Tigers finished spring practice last season. He said he doesn't feel that way so far this season. Still a couple weeks of spring practice left, of course, but said it's been a good first few days, and they've had a lot of competition so far this spring, which is what they need. He's trying to play 4 to 6 guys to kind of have in that linebacker rotation when the season rolls around, but he does think it's going to be one of the strongest rooms for Clemson defensively, so something to keep an eye on for the Tigers for sure as we continue through spring practice and see who's going to be that other linebacker that steps up to play opposite of Sammy Brown. So we've got a lot more to get to, though, here on Palmetto Sports Daily, so we are going to take a quick timeout, and we will be right back with you guys here in just a few minutes. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We've got some interesting news coming out of Atlanta with the Braves, as outfielder Jurickson Profar is currently facing a full season's worth 162 game suspension for yet another offense. I guess you could call it an offense of using performance-enhancing drugs. So he was suspended for a large chunk of last year's season, which was his first year with the Braves, and then now, of course, missing the entire season. If that does end up getting upheld, he will have to forfeit his entire $15 million salary for this year. He's also would not be able to play in the World Baseball Classic that is getting going this week. He would be representing his home country of the Netherlands, so a lot of things at stake there for Profar. But perhaps the most ridiculous part of this entire situation, I mean, there are quite a few ridiculous pieces of this situation, which is one, this is a repeat situation here for Profar after being suspended last season, and also the Braves signed him to a pretty hefty contract a little over a year ago, 3 years, $42 million, and if he does get suspended, which it's looking likely that he will not have played for basically half of that contract, which is also absurd. And if you're the Braves, I mean, you got to be pretty upset because you brought this guy in to help you. He's your primary designated hitter. The Braves are down a couple pitchers, they're down a couple other guys, and then you have this happen. I mean, so they're going to be trying to look at a few guys in spring training. Who's going to step up? I mean, they have their starting 3 outfielders pretty much locked up, but when you use a guy that can swing the bat the way that Profar can, that presents a little bit of an issue to not have him playing. So I saw something floated around on my Twitter timeline a few minutes ago before we started doing this show saying that all other MLB players since March or May of 2025 who have been suspended for the use of PEDs has been 2. And in that time, Profar himself has accounted for 2 suspensions. So, Rick, just curious your reactions to this news and what it means for the Braves.
Wow, how can someone just be I don't know. Let's just call him dumb for the moment to risk getting caught, to risk your paycheck, and hurting the team after they had the faith and confidence in you to give you a fairly significant contract. And also, Caroline, if the Braves make the playoffs, will he be eligible to play if he serves a 162-game suspension the entire regular season?
I guess we'll find out after game 162 of 162. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But, at this point, if you're out 162 games, it's like, man, see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know at this point when he didn't play, because of this issue last season, it's like, would he make a big difference right now? Who's to say based off of what the Braves did last year? So, yeah, I mean, just a dumb decision on his part. I think you said it best, Rick. And just the fact that this has happened before. This isn't even the first time. He's gone through this, and he's sacrificing, I think you said $15 million for this paycheck this season just to go through what he did again. So, not a great decision for him. Hurts the Braves in the long run, so definitely not good to see, Caroline.
No, definitely not. And there's also a video circulating from an interview that he did, I believe a couple weeks ago, where a reporter in Atlanta asked him, did you take the measures to avoid this from happening a second time? And he said yes. So it's like, which, obviously he's not going to say no in that setting, but it's like, okay, well, if this is true, you're lying about it and you're hurting your team and you're suspended. And really, it's just frustrating for the Braves as well after you commit all this money to this guy. Then you get to spring training and it's like, all right, well, now we're down one of the primary, guys in our hitting lineup, right? So definitely frustrating for Braves organization. Braves fans are going nuts about it online. So we'll keep on tracking that as the situation develops and we hear exactly what happens with that suspension. But we're going to take another quick break here and we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. It is now the postseason for a couple of conferences in basketball. Of course, the ACC still has a little bit more time, and we'll get to that in a second. But the Sun Belt, heading into the Sun Belt tournament, the women will play tomorrow, and they will be playing with the freshman of the year in the Sun Belt Conference, Kinsey Grimes, earning that honor, the Texas native. She averaged 11.3 points per game this year, ranking among, of course, the freshman leaders in the Sun Belt. And then she became the first true freshman at Coastal to average double digits since the 2011-2012 season. She also started in 18 of 29 games with 16 double-digit point performances. Her career high was 25 points against Gardner-Webb on November 30th. And, of course, Coastal women's basketball had to really rebuild this year. The only returner they had on the roster who got any real playing time last year was Kristen Williams, one of the top three-point shooters in the country. She also earned some postseason accolades. She was named to the third team All-Sun Belt. So Two Sean's earning some honors for women's basketball, and, they'll have a little bit of a tough tournament experience. The Seans have the 9 seed this year, and they will play South Alabama. That's going to be tomorrow at, I believe, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But South Alabama beating App State not too long ago to get that next spot in the bracket. So very exciting times for Coastal Carolina. Hopefully they can get a little bit further into the bracket. Last year this team went to the WNIT. I don't see that happening this year based off of what they've done, but still an exciting time for Coastal basketball nonetheless, Rick.
Yeah, and the Gamecock women, they open play in the SEC tournament in Greenville on Friday. In the quarterfinals, they will play at noon. And today we found out the all SEC selections and a Gamecock-style record with 5 players making all SEC. Forward Joyce Edwards makes the first team, and 4 USC players make the second team. Guards Raven Johnson, Tessa Johnson, Tanaya Latson, and center Medina Okot. In addition, Raven makes the all-defensive team, and she is also named SEC Defensive Player of the Year. In addition to her normal point guard duties of running the offense, she can score, but she can also give you some rebounds, steals, blocked shots. And here's head coach Don Staley just talking about how valuable Raven Johnson is to the Gamecock program.
Raven is the most loyal. Like, she is super loyal. She doesn't have a mean spirit in her body. She's funny. She's consistent. Like, I like people. Raven's who she is every day of the week. And she doesn't come in any different than who she is. So I like that about her. I like that consistency about her, like, and especially when it's your point guard. They have a way of leading the charge, and she's done that for the past 5 years.
Now, Don has come out and said that Raven Johnson will be the player she will miss most of all, and I think in the entirety of her Gamecock program, and when you consider she's had players like Asia Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, Alicia Gray, that's a pretty big statement about how she feels about Raven Johnson, and she is having a tremendous season. Caroline?
Pretty high words of praise for Dawn. I feel like Raven's one of those players that's kind of been undervalued for a lot of her career, so it's really, not only has she earned that honor this season and stepped up her game in just about every single category from last season statistically, but I think she really, that just is great for her to end up earning that after maybe not getting some of that recognition, some of those accolades over her first few years with the Gamecocks. So good stuff for Raven. We look forward to watching the Gamecocks and seeing who they play in the SEC tournament when we get to Friday. We are going to take yet another break, and we will be back to talk a little bit more basketball. Stick with us. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. A little more basketball talk before we go. If you are tuning in with us, you probably already know what happened between Clemson men's hoops and number 17 North Carolina, but we're going to talk a little bit about it anyway. The Tigers playing their second to last game of the season at the place they call the Dean Dome, one of the meccas of college basketball up in Chapel Hill. Brad Brownell's team snapped a 4-game skid over the weekend with an upset loss of number 24 Louisville. Pretty big deal for the Tigers to get some of that confidence back they'd been lacking in the first 4 games leading up to that after having a pretty solid season up until that point. Kind of felt like the wheels fell off the wagon. We could say the wheels are back on the wagon right now. The wagon is going to North Carolina tonight. Should be a very fun one. Here's head coach Brad Brownell talking a little bit about what he liked from the approach of his team and how they got their mindset back in the right spot.
I told them in the locker room that, just how proud I was of the way they approached the game and the way they approached the week. I wasn't surprised. I think we all, were really disappointed after last weekend and, knew this was an important game and an important week for our season. And, felt good for our guys. I know, just to kind of feel like, hey, get a little bit of our swagger back. And now we've got to go play a great team in North Carolina at their place. So just stay confident, keep working, make sure our preparation is really good, and see how we do.
Well, the Tigers are just 2-29 all time at Chapel Hill, and they were actually 59-0. North Carolina was in the first 59 meetings with Clemson. That changed a couple years ago. Clemson winning the last 2 out of 3. Their most recent victory coming at the Dean Dome at the Dean Smith Center back in 2024, which started their really long road streak, or was part of their really long road winning streak, I should say. That streak no longer active, but again, should be a fun one tonight, Rick.
Yeah, well, the fact that they finally did get that win in Chapel Hill, because in years past it didn't matter if it were, we're talking about a great Clemson team or a very bad Clemson team, they just couldn't win in Chapel Hill. And the fact that they got this win in Louisville to break the 4-game losing streak, I like their chances better now. Teagan?
Yeah, I think if they're able to come away with a win in this one, I think it kind of turns around what we've been thinking of Clemson over these past 5-6 games. So it would be a big one for them. Coastal Carolina, they're getting ready to, of course, play in the Sun Belt tournament. They won't play until Saturday. Their opponent is still TBD. It could be about 5 teams right now, so we're just waiting to see what it amounts to. Also, Josh Beadle earning Sun Belt honors, the Hoops player being named the newcomer of the year. And this is, of course, a big thing for the Chants. It's the first time they've ever had anybody earn this award. Beadle coming to Coastal Carolina from Boston College. Of course, he also spent some time at Clemson. So big thing for him. He averaged 17.5 points per game this year, led the Sun Belt in field goal attempts. He was second in field goals made. So as we're getting into tournament time, guys, I know it'll be really interesting to see how each of our teams kind of does in this. The great thing about college basketball is that anybody can win any day. You look at those March Madness teams, and it's schools that usually you've never heard of with really interesting mascots. So definitely exciting times. We're going to have more Palmetto Sports Daily coming up tomorrow, but for now, that's going to do it for us, and we hope you have a great day.